they hold and cherish the history of a community and a place. And then they offer a place for people to come and learn and grow and be. And so I wanted the museum to really be a place that people could come and feel safe and secure and learning.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin podcast. I am here with Ashley from the Klamath County Museum. You're kind of new out there.
I'm very new out there, yeah.
How long have you been at the 10 months?
10 months.
Not even a year.
No.
That's exciting. I want to know if you could tell me like the most interesting thing you've learned about Klamath County history since you've been there.
Oh my gosh, everything. Honestly, I knew nothing about anything out here. It was horrible. I came in and was like, it's all a chance to learn. But Matt, our curator, is really big into the Modoc War and the Snake War that took place out here. And I had never heard of either of them. And so being able to go on, he takes our team on little field trips, which the best part of being an adult is going on a field trip with a historian and being able to see the places that they took part and see history now. It was really cool. He has pictures that he shows us as we're driving, and not as we're driving, we pull off and then he shows us the picture, but what it used to look like and what happened there. And we went down to the lava beds and met with some of their archaeologists and got to actually walk where, Captain Jack's stronghold was. And it's been there's a lot of history out here that I don't think even people out here might know about. And so we're really trying to expand that at the museum to bring in other voices and show off a little more of our narrative.
Mm-hmm. I do want to talk about some of the changes at the museum because I'm really excited about some of the energy that I'm feeling. But I want to know, when I think about what you do in a day, I imagine you're just like learning all of this really cool stuff about history. But as a director of the Klamath County Museums, is that what you're doing every day?
No.
What do you do?
Unfortunately not. It's a lot of management. It's a lot of, building my team and making sure they have all the support and what they need to go into their positions and really make everything work. It's a lot of outreach in the community. It's a lot of planning events and looking for funding and figuring out new and interesting ways to kind of highlight history. But it's a lot of management. It's a lot of just kind of almost running a business without all of the stress, a lot of the stress, but not all of the stress. So it's a lot of management, not a lot of getting to learn cool history facts, which is why every afternoon I go to the curatorial offices and I'm like, hit me with what you learned today. Or we just sit and chat for a minute or two just so that we can reconnect and I get to learn something, because we have a lot of new staff that aren't from here. We have a girl from Utah who's a registration technician, and she's already gotten more history lessons in than I have, and she's been here for half the time. So I love getting to know what she finds out, what she learns and finds interesting. So,
so you're working on the business of history, the business part of it. The Klamath County Museums, is it just the museum down on Main Street? Or
it is Spring Street.
Spring
I know.
Street, yeah.
I'm slowly learning street names, and I was like, we're on Spring Street. So it's that building, which is the old armory, and then it's the Baldwin Hotel Museum up on Main Street, the western end of Main Street. Directions are still a hot mess for me. And then we also have Fort Klamath on the way to Crater Lake. That's another one of our county museums, and we're all under the same umbrella and my management. Lucky them. No.
That's awesome. How many employees do you have?
Oh, I have 7 full-time and a couple of part-time that do my our front desk and our museum aides and help with tours.
Okay. And then I'm assuming quite a few volunteers.
Yes, we actually, it's amazing. The volunteer base could always grow. We'd welcome more volunteers, but we have a really amazing base of volunteers that do a lot of research. And there's people that are part of the Klamath County Historical Society, now the Klamath County Historical Program Committee. But they're doing a lot of the walks that are around town. So Pacific Terrace Walk, the Linkville Cemetery Tour, that happened a few weeks ago. They are involved in that and doing programs that take place at the museum, but are through their volunteer work in the Historical Society.
Okay. So you're managing a lot of people. Were a lot of those people there before? I know you mentioned some new faces, but...
Yeah, a lot of the volunteers were there before. We've slowly started building out to some high schools. So we have some Henley High School students that have come in and have started volunteering over the summer at the Baldwin, which has been really amazing. And it's fun getting kind of younger audience involved in history and showing them that history can be cool. It's not just boring numbers in a classroom with some dates and some names and some memorization, that history is really interesting and just fun to learn about and not the classroom setting. And so it's been cool reaching out to new volunteers and bringing new people in. But a lot of our volunteers are holdovers from before, and we're working really well together. I'm really enjoying learning from them too. They know so much. It's honestly scary sometimes.
Has it been difficult I'm going to go back.
Yes.
What are some of the changes that you've made as director recently?
Yes. So when I came in very initially, I sat down with my team and I said, I'm new here. We're new to each other, and I'm happy to learn about what you guys have been doing and where you see us going. So we actually sat down and took an hour of our day to talk about our mission statement as the museum. It had a very basic mission statement before, and I was like, who are we? Where are we going? What do we want to be? And we really wanted to get more into a community engagement. So with my team, I've done a lot of, we need to be more in the community. We're at every farmer's market. We're at, in Bonanza, we were at Bonanza Days. We're just getting out into the community. This county is huge and there's a lot of places to go. And so being more visible to the community, bringing the museum to them, I think is really important. And so we've started really expanding our movie nights that they're family centered. We still do our documentaries, but then we do movies like Land Before Time and Ice Age, because we partnered with the local library and their event, and we put on our own event to couple with that, which was prehistory. And so having more family involved events, doing programs beforehand. So we learn about, Tyrannosaurus Rex teeth, and then we get to watch a movie. And underground art, KF and Klamath Music came together for our event Under Klamath Skies. And I just really wanted to see more community involved in the museum, more people that maybe have never been to the museum coming into the museum, people that were perhaps not interested in reading about history or looking at exhibits that they considered old. I wanted to give people a new reason to come in. So movie nights do that for kids. Under Klamath Skies, we reimagined. That was kind of our word for the year, was reimagining. And so we reimagined Under Klamath Skies and brought in, for the first two events this year, we've had almost 700 people total, which is mind-boggling. And we put musicians back on the stage. I was like, this armory has such a history to it. Why not grow from there? And so the word of the year is reimagining. And so we're reimagining everything we can. And we're taking into account that we want to be more of a community-centered place. I think museums are really the cornerstone of a community is a museum. They hold and cherish the history of a community and a place, and then they offer a place for people to come and learn and grow and be. And so I wanted the museum to really be a place that people could come and feel safe and secure and learning about everything. Like we had a parachute program that we created for Kingsley Field. They were having their air show. And so we wanted to talk to kids and families about what it was like to be a bombardier airman, and because Kingsley, of course, was a bombardier. And so kind of doing that and bringing kids in and families in. And we started a monthly newsletter that now it's been started since June, has over 350 subscribers. So just kind of getting out and showing the community that we're not just boring old stagnant, nothing's moving, nothing's happening at the museum, a place for people to come and enjoy different things, like looking at art and exhibits at the Under Klamath Skies. I'm so excited about it. But we had art throughout the exhibits. So we had, people's art on easels in little back corners to draw people in. And we were taking pictures, and the amount of people that were looking at the art and then turning towards the exhibit and actually reading the information there and enjoying the museum in a different aspect and interest it brightened my soul. I was like, it's working. There's these little things that are working, and being more of a community, more of a research center, more of an open space for people to come in and enjoy. That's my goal.
Have you run into any struggles when you're reimagining? Has it been hard to get people to come along, or?
Amazingly, we were ready. So Under Klamath Skies is the event we'll use for this example, because it's been in the community. It's been a part of what's been going on at the museum for many, many years. And so when we came in and we kind of discussed that we wanted to reimagine it and add art and put musicians back on the stage, and it'd be more of a mingling event where people could come and go and hear music, and it wouldn't be just sitting in an audience listening to musicians talk and perform and then having a historian up there talking. we had, the initial group that came in for the first one was like, oh, this is really different. This is not what it used to be. It's not what it's supposed to be. It was not what it was used to be. And so we assured them, yeah, things are changing a little bit. We're hoping that you'll enjoy this one just as much. That person that actually made that comment stayed the entire event, all 2 hours, sat at a table, loved it. On her way out, she spoke with Nick of Klamath Music and said, this was such a fun way to do this. I look forward to the next one. And so there's always a little hiccups, but I don't want to leave people behind either. There's the people that really enjoy the historic programs in the way that they've always been. And so we keep those, but then we couple them with maybe a program that is interest to families or a younger audience. And to be able to appeal to more in the community and all of the demographics that are here, it's challenging because there's that fear of change and what if we lose this? So we're not trying to lose anything or change everything. We're just trying to grow. Mm-hmm. And so there's been a few slight, oh my gosh, fear moments from some people, but then they've gotten on board once they've seen, that it is for the good. It's not that we're losing any history in doing it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that the main museum used to be an armory.
Yes.
And I always find that kind of fascinating. There's been some big names that played there.
Johnny Cash, B.B. King, they were on the Armory stage, which is why we were talking about it. And I was like, why are we not putting musicians back on the stage where they belong? And we had some local musicians come in and do a Paul McCartney tribute for his birthday. And one of the musicians actually played a song about B.B. King's ghost being on the Armory stage. And it has been his dream forever to play on that stage and be part of this memory of the Armory. And I thought that was beautiful. It made me cry. I was like in the background. I was like, get it together, Ashley. But it was beautiful. So
does it make you want to find someone that was at that Johnny Cash concert and ask them?
Yes. And oh my gosh, be like, what was it like? And it's really cool because a lot of the people that live in this community have been here forever. Like they're local and native and they've been here forever. And so they'll come in and be like, I remember when I watched circuses in here. And I just love sitting down with them and being like, tell me about elephants in the Armory. Like it's a cool thing to experience, people that have been part of this community for so long that they remember the history of the Armory back when. And we're looking to really expand on some of the history of the Armory itself. The building is the most amazing artifact we could possibly have, that and the Baldwin. Like there are these beautiful buildings in town that are their own artifact. And that's something cool that we need to grow and establish a little bit more. But that stage in the Armory, we were talking, my team and I were standing there and I was like, how can we get more of this stage visible? How can we make this different than what it is? And so we've got some plans in motion to kind of bring some new life to the exhibits.
That's exciting. Now I want to say, if you know anybody that was at that Johnny Cash concert there, reach out to the museum or to the chamber because we want to talk to you.
We do.
Can you imagine? That'd be really cool.
Oh my gosh, it would be amazing. Well, we're doing a folklore. That reminds me, we're doing a folklore archive right now, and it's a project that the new registration tech brought in. And folklore is a huge part of history and anthropology, and it's kind of an unknown. People think it's just legends and myths, but it's so much more. And so she's gotten an archive going where we actually have people from the community coming in and telling stories of the lore and the myths and the things that used to happen here, and just kind of telling the stories of Klamath Falls and Klamath County. And we're putting it into, they're basically like oral histories. And then we're doing a huge program at the end of October to talk about what Klamath Falls folklore looks like. And so we're, kind of grabbing new and interesting ways to look at history and promoting them.
I like that. Can you share one piece of folklore that's specific to here?
Klamath Falls? Yes, I won't, because that will ruin all of Tessa's fun plans. But something that I found interesting learning about folklore is there's folk art. So it all kind of comes under one thing, but then there's also, I don't know if you remember, it's part of folklore and folk art and folk culture, but cootie catchers.
Yes.
Back in school, the little cootie catchers, that's folklore. That entire concept is actually folklore. And I was, what? So it's very cool. So when you come to the presentation, which I know you will on October 30th, at the museum. It will be interesting because there's a lot of engagement of learning about each other's folklore while we're there too. So
By cootie catchers, you mean those things we used
Yes.
to fold and then you'd like
yes,
pick
and
a
then
number
yes,
when
and
we
you
were
do
in
this.
elementary school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
I'm like, we need to do a cootie catcher program because we all want to make cootie catchers again. But yeah,
Fascinating.
I know.
I like it. Where did you move here from?
Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm a Colorado native. Yeah.
Have that in common.
I know.
North Colorado. Has your
place.
experience as an adult always been in museums?
Yes. So I've worked in museums since the beginning of my time as an adult. Since 18 on, I've either interned or worked in a museum, from museums of varying sizes. So Denver Museum of Nature and Science, which is one of our biggest museums in Colorado, was where I started as an intern and then basically an education technician. And then I moved from there to Colorado Springs to pursue my master's degree in history. So I love history. And then I began an assistant directorship basically at Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. And that's where I kind of spent my many years learning marketing and fundraising and volunteer management and membership, and kind of getting to do a lot of the behind the scenes that didn't necessarily, curatorial work has always been when I was little, I was like, I want to be a curator. And then as I started working in museums, I really enjoyed the side that was more management, more getting to know the community and building the museum in people's minds and stakeholders, and bringing in funds and doing programs and projects and bringing together a team. So then that's the pursuit I went for.
It's easy to get lost. Don't know which path to take, what to post. In the social media jungle, video is king. Your kids are obsessed, your customers are addicted, we're all hooked, and social media sites prioritize videos. So when you're ready to stand out from the crowd, reach out to 40 Deuce Films. Feeling over everything.
What made you come to Klamath? Why Klamath?
Why Klamath? I saw it on the map. No, I've always wanted to live in Oregon ever since I was a little girl, and did a project in fourth or fifth grade where I drew the tree on you guys' license plate. I was like, Oregon would be a cool place to visit. And my husband and I hadn't gotten a vacation together in the 10 plus years we were together. And I said, we're going on vacation. And so we went on a little vacation in Colorado, and it was 10 days. It was beautiful. And I said midway through, I was like, I'm not happy with where we are in life. I was like, we're too young to not be doing something that we want to really do somewhere we really want to do it. And I said, and we're going to get older and then not have the chance. And so he said, well, pick where you want to go and pick what you want to do. And I said, well, I want to work in a museum in Oregon. On vacation, I put into Indeed, I was like, museums, Oregon. And this is one of the jobs that popped up. And I said, hey, that looks really cool. And he's always wanted to live in a smaller town. And we came from this huge city that was horrible and just busy all the time. There's no chance to get to know anybody. So I put it in, and they emailed me for a Zoom interview, and the rest is history. So,
and here you are.
Yes.
Well, welcome. Do you feel like the community has been welcoming, and you've really been able to blend in and
so much
or
so.
stand out, whichever way?
Yes.
Yeah,
Stand
both.
out while blending in. It's been really amazing. I was a little scared because small towns sometimes have that kind of closed off, you're an outsider. And so I was a little worried that when I came here, I would be an outsider. And I've been told a few times, oh, Todd, you have big shoes to fill. So when I was coming in, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be what they want, or visually, I'm not what they're going to think I'm going to be. And it has been the most rewarding experience to get to know the community. And I have been so welcomed. It makes me want to cry. I have been so welcomed by everyone here. It's been absolutely astounding that from Klamath Grill, from our waitresses that are over at Klamath Grill, Mandy and Deb, to people that just drop into the museum to say hi. I felt like I found a home away from home, and it's been I cherish it, and it's been an easier transition by being so welcomed.
Mm-hmm. I sometimes do hear people, and maybe you don't have an answer for this, but sometimes I hear that this is a hard place to connect with people. That wasn't my experience. Have you heard that?
I have actually heard that. And what's cool is there's a bunch of us that are new to the museum. There's 3 of us that were hired on that are new to the community, and we've talked about it, and they've all really felt very welcomed as well. And so, but we've heard tell of sometimes it's a hard place to get to know, or it's a hard place to find anything to do. And I'm like, what world are you living in? Like, Klamath Falls has more to do than anywhere I've ever been in my entire life. So I've felt like that was a a misnomer, kind of misleading to even think that. But I'm sure there are some people that maybe don't feel quite at home, but that hasn't been my experience.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you think there's anything you could pinpoint to that maybe helped you. Like, are you the kind that just goes and gets involved? Are you?
Yeah, my husband and I are completely opposite. So I love to go and get involved. Anything I see that we can do, I am like, we're going and doing it. And I think having come here for the job and then starting the job and having a team that was so welcoming, and they would tell me, oh, we're going on the weekend to do this. You should check this out. And so it allowed me to kind of invest in the community right away. And my husband is the type that's like, I don't really want to go do anything. So he perhaps was having a harder time, but he's made a couple of friends. And I think just getting in and getting involved, and the chamber is a great place. Discover Klamath, just the events that are up on you guys' webpage and just things to do, especially in the summer. We came in the winter, we came in November, and there was the Snowflake Festival. There's these downtown, events that happen with hot chocolate. And it's just, there's always something to do no matter who you are or what you're interested in. There's game nights for Magic the Gathering. There's, the tea house. Nana's tea house is so cool. So there's just a lot of things to do if you're willing to get out in the community and do it.
I think I tell people all the time, if you can't find something to do here, you're not looking in the right places.
No,
or
I was
talking
like,
to the right people.
You're just hanging out at home saying that there's nothing to do. Yeah.
I probably say no to more events than, that's how much there is to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much going on.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. Under Klamath Skies, Big Bad Voodoo Daddies, like everything is on the same nights, but it's so true. There is a lot to do, and there's a lot to do for every person's interest and every age group. And
this may be too soon to know, but have you seen numbers going up at the museum with these changes?
Yes. So very happy. We've started more of an advertising campaign with the radio, and we do a lot more on social media and our newsletter, but we definitely this summer saw a huge uptake in both people coming into the museum. Our gift shop sales were up. All of our events went up. We had, our normal amount of people at events was, for Under Klamath Skies, 70 was their biggest number. For our movie nights, we'd get about 20 to 30. We are exceeding that number in sales and visits and event guests. We do a lot more programming at libraries. So at Keno Library, we were just there last weekend. We had 30 some people come in for our destination prehistory event. So we're seeing a lot more movement of people coming through those doors, which numbers are backing.
I like that.
I do too.
Do you have a lot of schools that come through the museum?
So we're working on that. We do get quite a few field trips, and then Heritage Days. We get up at Fort Klamath. We have fourth graders come in for Heritage Days, which is a living history day and program. But we are looking to expand a little bit more. We have an outreach coordinator position that's a little bit new to us that we're hiring for currently. But it's going to be where we go out and we do museums to you. So we take programs, an education trunk with a purpose, like fossils or Oregon Trail pioneers, to schools, and then we welcome them to come as field trips back. Field trips are always free for the students. We ask that chaperones pay, but students are always free so that they can come in and experience the museum. We do programs with them, scavenger hunts, but I'm really looking to take the museum to them this upcoming year and do programs in schools that hit on a lot of the criteria that schools look for in their own classroom settings. And then Chiloquin is having their, I think, 100th year anniversary this year. So we're looking to do a lot of take the museum to Chiloquin as well and get involved with them. And
that's all. I'm excited about the energy around it and the changes.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
What are some things we can expect moving forward?
A lot of the same momentum. So we're really hitting our groove, and just more of the same, more events, more ways to get involved, more programs. Every Friday, First Friday is a free Friday for us. We bring out our historic trolley. That's new for free First Fridays. We're going to do programs with them. We have a series of Snake War coming up, and just a lot more community events that are free to the community or fundraisers for us, and just a lot more bringing people through the doors for different reasons.
I had to ask, you mentioned the Modoc War and the Snake War.
Yes.
I've heard of the Modoc War. I don't know what you're talking about with the Snake War. So I
it's-
feel dumb right now.
No, it's okay. Me too. The Snake War took place a little bit before the Modoc War, and our curator is actually Matt. Did his entire, I believe, thesis or master's program was based on the Snake War. So we're having a Snake War series where we're going to have over the fall and winter different individuals and scholars come in and actually talk about what took place during the Snake War, why it's important, why it's a bigger war potentially than the Modoc War was. And so if you're interested, come to some of the series. It'll be at the museum and it'll be interesting. Yeah.
I will do that.
I'll lure you in that way. I'll be like, I'll give you a little lure.
Oh, I love it. I like the personal part of history, right? I remember when I was in school, I loved anything that was a story about an individual or a group of individuals and their personal stories. I didn't like memorizing dates and that boring stuff. And so those are the things that draw me in. Do you sometimes feature like a specific person in history?
Yes, we do. So we're redoing our Kingsley exhibit right now. We're reimagining it, and to kind of focus a little bit more on Kingsley's story and how Kingsley Field came about. But I'm looking to redo the narrative of the entire museum, which sounds scary, but isn't. So we get a lot of feedback that when people come in, it's very much, it's a wild lands and you can go any which way and it doesn't really make sense. And if I go this way, it's not telling a story. And if I go that way, I'm in the woods. And so we as a team, we're looking at it and we're like, what is the narrative we want to tell with this museum? What are we trying to get at here? And so by doing that, we're looking at every single exhibit and saying, what is it telling? Is it telling a story? Is it just word heavy? Exhibits, and Matt and I are very much the same person where we'll go to a museum and read absolutely everything and look at every object. And I was like, most people are not us. Like there's a select few that will read absolutely everything, but you want to get something across quickly. And so he is reimagining the Modoc War exhibit right now, which is the entire back wall of one side. And he and I were discussing it and he's like, I want to tell a story. I want to tell the story of individuals that maybe weren't necessarily looked at in the war. So we have a child, a Modoc child, a Modoc woman, and a warrior. And we're highlighting their experiences as we're telling the story of what happened and going in that route a little bit more. And we're going to hopefully we have a lot of input from Modoc Nation and the Klamath tribes in this exhibit. And I want to expand on that. And a lot of our other exhibits is having stories from locals come in and have a little more input on what they're seeing. And just kind of telling the story through the eyes of people who can relate. So having a child is part of the Modoc War exhibit, telling the story of what they went through. And it's an actual child. We have like their diaries of this child and artifacts and descriptions. And so it's going to be a true story of them. It's going to really portray who they were. And maybe a kid coming in can understand that history a little bit better through the eyes of someone that they relate to. Mm-hmm. And a woman, women were important in the war. And what did they do? And how did they experience it? And so we're looking to do a little bit more of that and kind of highlight a little bit more of the experience rather than, in 1924.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's exciting. I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited to see how it goes. You may not have an idea yet, but is there a name that has come up in history that you think has been instrumental in the community that you don't feel like is talked about enough?
I'm right now creating a Maud Baldwin cult because I think she is. Most people know her name and Maud Baldwin and know her story as, kind of a sad one, but she was the Baldwins were an incredible family. But Maud Baldwin, I think her story is a little bit more than, despondent woman drowned self in river. I think that there's so much more to her and her history and that we could really, as a museum, highlight who she was and the women that were also part of her. There was a woman who came down to run her studio while she was in California looking for help for her mom. And I was like, there's a lot of women. And of course, I'm a woman. So of course, I'm like, we need more women in history. But there's a lot of her story and her brother's stories that I think need to be told. And I'd like to start doing that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they owned the Baldwin Museum.
Hotel, yeah. The Baldwin Hotel Museum. They are who built it. George Baldwin was a senator here as well. And he was a huge, huge piece of history. So, yeah.
Why, to kind of wrap things up a little
Yes.
bit, but why is history important?
Oh, history is important because it tells us where we've been and how we can go somewhere new and in a more strategically kind way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Ponder that for a little bit. Fun questions at the end. If I gave you $250,000 to do something to make a difference in our community, what would you do?
Oh, $250,000 to make a difference in the community. Yes, I would make the Baldwin a venue so that people could come and experience fundraisers and weddings and have something to actually go to that's more than just a tourist spot, something that the community could actually hold in their hands and experience.
That's a cool idea. Does it do any events? Right? Has it been a venue at all?
A little bit in the past, but it's not. It's an old building and it needs some help. So we're looking to help it a little bit here in this off season and bring it in because there's nothing like it in the area. So
that's a cool idea. I like this idea. Tell me about one of your role models.
One of my real living historic. No, I
Whatever
think
you want.
This is going to sound really cliche, but my dad was a huge role model in my life. And he was very much the type of person who would say change is good. And there's no such thing as a bad idea. And you don't say, well, no, you say, well, how? And so I think I've lived my life with that kind of in mind, and his leadership style and his overall just kindness and his love of history has really inspired me in life.
That's awesome. If you're kind of new here, but if somebody was coming to visit you and you were going to take them on your perfect Klamath day, what would that day look like?
Oh, we'd start at Klamath Grill for breakfast. We'd hit up some of the shops like Cherry Blossom downtown. Treasures is a great thrift shop. We go thrifting a little bit. And then we would stop by, of course, the museums, get a little history there. And then I think on the way to Crater Lake, which is an incredible area that you can see, we would hit up Fort Klamath and talk about kind of the history there. So museums are important. I haven't been to the Fable yet and I really want to go. So maybe we'd hit that too.
Oh, you haven't been there yet.
I haven't been there.
It's a pretty cool one to go to. But that makes me think of it. Those were going to be my last 3 questions, but I have 2 other questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite museum you've ever been to?
Denver Museum of Nature and Science, which is, I worked there, but it's incredible. It's an old building that got expanded on, but the first thing you walk into is a T-Rex skeleton standing there ready to step on you. So just kind of, and that's what I really want. I don't want a T-Rex skeleton at Klamath County Museum standing there to step on you, but I want when people walk in to feel at home, but also to feel in awe of something. So
that's funny. I went to that museum in 5th grade.
yeah,
And that's exactly what I picture every time I think about that museum. So that's funny. What is one museum that's on your bucket list?
Chicago Field Museum.
Oh, why?
A T-Rex named Sue. Obviously there's a theme here, but that's one of the museums that is really kind of, everybody who's ever worked in a museum, the nature museum, is like, that's a cool museum to go to just because of how they've got it set up and how they're another older building that's really expanded. And a T-Rex named Sue is there and she's in her own hall. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. And thanks for what you're bringing to the museum.
Thank you.
Thank you to our producer, 40 Deuce Films.